good to see you. We've got lots to talk about, haven't we, Donna? But let's talk about that story first of all, because nurses, of course, have been both in care homes and in other situations. And do you agree that there is so much damage being done, however necessary the restrictions are?
Well, the restrictions are necessary, and yes, there will be a level of damage. But I've watched nurses and worked alongside nurses throughout the summer who've tried lots and lots of different ways to maintain contact between families while they're in lockdown in COVID.
Yeah, very, very tough. Now, look, you're here to talk about all sorts of things, but including this call for a pay rise for nurses. We saw, didn't we, during the first lockdown, extraordinary scenes of people coming out onto the street, standing on their doorsteps in clap for carers, and so much love for what nurses were doing and how they were putting themselves in harm's way to keep us all safe. I guess the problem is that then you get down to the nitty-gritty of money, don't you? And the government argues that nurses' pay is already 6.5% higher. Do you think the public would be behind you in getting more money for the nurses? What do you think of all the bills that we're going to have to pay?
I think we recognise that there will be many bills, but what we'd say is it's a political choice to pay nurses, to value the work that we do. And for many, many years, nurses have been undervalued. So what we do know is that nurses barely earn today with inflation what they earned in 2010. So we're campaigning for fair pay for nursing, which means a pay rise for all nursing staff that recognises their skills and experience and their responsibility.
How could you make that happen then? Because we're looking at one of your posters, if you like, clapped us, back us, to get the public on board behind you, to put, I guess, that political pressure on those that could increase the pay. How do you get that to work, though? Because it's a very tricky situation at the moment, isn't it, for so much money being there and so much call on people's time?
I think it's tricky. It is a tricky situation, but we have to recognise that there are around 50,000 nursing vacancies in the UK at the moment, 40,000 in England alone. And so it's imperative, really, that we actually get the right staff to be able to care for our patients in this country.
And do you think money would help that to a certain extent? Because most nurses I talk to feel like it's a calling.
And it is a calling, but actually nurses too have to pay their rents and they have to feed themselves, and they live in capital cities where rents are high. So what we've found in our recent survey is 35% of our respondents were saying they're thinking of leaving the profession this year. And more than 50% of that 35% cited pay as a factor. So while you may well refer to it as a vocation, we live in the real world and we have to pay real bills and real rent.
Of course, nobody knows more than me the importance of nurses this year. We've all been reminded of it, haven't we? And the sacrifices they make, and more challenges ahead. So much hope is being placed on this vaccine, but of course, it's got to be got out there, and nurses will play an important part of that too. Have you been told anything about how this would work for nurses, how they would be involved, what kind of extra pressures, what kind of information are you getting so far?
So we haven't had a lot. We haven't had any more than the public have had at this moment. We do know that nurses are central, and we'd urge the government to have a conversation about it. At this moment, we do know that they've been speaking to the general practice, but actually the people that will administer this is nurses and more. I mean, clearly we don't have enough nurses just to do this and continue to provide all the care that we need in the wake of COVID and maintaining services. So it will have to be others coming in to help us to deliver the vaccine.
There's a study from Oxford University that's been picked up by several outlets today, and it's looking at these £5 rapid tests. Presumably, rapid testing would be a huge benefit for those in the profession of nursing to keep them safe. Is that something that you're looking to try and get brought in quickly?
Well, we know there is a plan for nurses and other healthcare workers to be tested rapidly, where they can do the tests at home at least twice a week. So there are plans underway for healthcare, including nurses, to participate in testing. I can't say it's the rapid £5 test. What I do know is that there is provision being made to ensure that those that are going to work are COVID-free.
Well, thanks very much indeed. Just to say on your campaign to try and get more of a pay rise, we did contact the Department for Health and Social Care. The hard work and dedication of all our nurses throughout this pandemic is unquestionable. We're committing to supporting them. NHS nurses are currently benefiting from the final year of a 3-year pay deal agreed with trade unions, which has delivered year-on-year pay increases, such as increasing the starting salary for a newly qualified nurse by more than 12% by 2021. Doesn't sound like there's much leverage from them there, does it?
Well, what we do know is it is a political choice, so they can make it happen. They have clapped us. Now they need to back us and pay us fairly for the value of the work we do.
Well, very good to talk to you this morning. Thanks very much indeed. Thank you.
Thanks.